So I heard you want to start selling print-on-demand products and make some money. Well, not so fast, because today I am going to be telling you 5 things that you should know before you start, and these are things that will make or break your chance to make money in this increasingly competitive space. And possibly save you a lot of time and headache, so you don't end up with barely any sales after like hundreds of uploads. And also just like protect your hard work so you don't end up suspended, because that is a thing that can happen. Okay, let's go. So something I still see people do is basically try and make their own version of like Gucci or Nike. And the reason this doesn't work is because, in the nicest way possible, like no one cares. Like if you are a celebrity with millions of Instagram followers and you already have an audience, then you're free to sell any kind of merch you want. But if not, then there's really no reason for people to buy from you as a small business just starting out. And a much easier way to go about things is to design for niches. So that's topics that people are already interested in. You know, what's been happening in the news recently, stock market's been crashing. So if you made like an investing related shirt, then people who are still holding on might be like, yes, that is motivating, I have to buy that, or whatever, right? That's an example of a trend. And a more evergreen example that has the potential to sell at any time, regardless of news or time of year, is professions. So not like teachers or engineers, that's been a bit too overdone, but more niche things like, for example, UX designers. I personally have made a good amount of sales targeting these professions. If you really think about it, why do people buy stuff? It's because it either solves a problem or it gets them attention, right? And no one's lacking clothes or like mugs these days. So print on demand isn't really solving anyone's problems. Most people go about this the wrong way, like trying to make designs that they like or their own clothing brand, but you really need to keep the customer in mind. Like creating print on demand that actually sells is not really about being the best artist or the best designer, like at all. Especially with the rise of things like AI art generators, which I'll be talking about later, but it is all about psychology. So you've got to be thinking from the customer's perspective, like, you know, what are my friends going to be thinking about me when I wear this? Or like my dad, who's a UX designer, is going to love this as a gift, just stuff like that. So the reverse is true as well. So just because you don't care about the stock market or UX design doesn't mean that other people around the world don't care. Obviously they do, and if you only made designs for things that you care about, then you're not going to get too far, unless you're really lucky. And that's why market research is important. And I think that at this point, a lot of people realize this. They don't have 100% creative freedom, and that's why they just give up with print on demand. But it is just how it is, unfortunately. So let's talk about traffic. If no one sees your products, then no one buys your products. And it seems obvious, but the amount of sellers who are confused as to why they're not making sales when they don't even know whether people have actually seen their product pages is pretty astounding. It's a very simple reason why most people never even make their first sale. And you can usually see this kind of data in your dashboard of whichever platform you're using, or a free tool called Google Analytics. Now, I know I've had some comments about Google Analytics switching to a new version. I'll look into that. But for now, it connects with most platforms, and customers don't just randomly stumble across products on the internet. So if you want to make good money, then you need to know if your products have a good chance of being seen, right? So you can do this by either selling in a marketplace, so like Amazon, Etsy, eBay, or Redbubble, which we know has millions of visitors per month. So you can get that traffic passively using keywords that people are actually searching for, or sort of selling on your own website using a fulfillment partner, and then doing your own active marketing using social media or paid ads, right? And you can increase your chances of getting traffic by designing for topics in high demand. So as I just showed you with those 2 examples, there are topics that sort of trend and go viral over a short space of time, and then there's topics which are evergreen and then make sales all the time, or sort of seasonal topics that come up at certain times of the year. And to find these niches, you can just take sort of general notes of what's trending in the news or social media, research what keywords people are typing in to Google by using Google Trends, looking at what is selling for other sellers, or personally my favorite research method is using these platform-specific research tools. So I think using keyword research tools is the fastest and most targeted way of basically 99% confirming that your products will be seen, because they are keywords that you know people are searching for, and that's why it's my preferred method. And I have a lot of videos on my channel about keyword research tools if you are interested. Now, driving traffic and putting the right product in front of the right audience, that's just the first part, unfortunately. Just because someone sees a product, that doesn't mean they're going to buy it. So it's really important to have realistic expectations going into this business. So what does that look like? It's not really about, how much money will I be making in a month? It's more about a percentage based on what work you've done, right? So the conversion rate is the number of sales divided by the number of visits. And for your average e-commerce store, it's around 1 to 2%. So expect 1 sale every 100 visitors, 10 sales every 1,000 visitors, and so on. So mine tends to be a little bit higher than that, but that's because I've been doing this for a while, and when I was starting out, mine was about 1 to 2% as well. The conversion rate depends on the quality of the design and how good the idea is, basically how good you are at turning eyeballs into customers. So how many steps there are in the sales funnel is also something to consider. So remember that if you're driving traffic to your own website externally, then there is an added layer to the sales funnel, because let's say about 1% of people that see the ad or social media post will click through to the website, and then about 10% of people will add to cart, and then not all of those people will buy. So you could be looking at 1 sale every 1,000 impressions or more. And if you are driving paid traffic, then you should really be aiming for 5% of shop visitors to add to cart or more. And anything less than that is very unlikely to be profitable, especially for print on demand, where profit margins are already very slim. So buyer intent will also affect your conversion rate, and that's because people browsing on these marketplaces are looking for things to buy, whereas on social media, they're not. So it takes extra effort to market to these people. In my opinion, I think you should validate whether your design converts well using free traffic from marketplaces before driving paid traffic to sell on your own website. I know people have had sort of success just setting up a Shopify store and then running ads off the bat, but I prefer to use marketplaces. So researching your competition, when I say competition, that just means the other sellers in your niche using the same keywords as you, or sort of designing similar things to you, competing for the same customers. Now, competition affects both your traffic and your conversions, because on the traffic side, if you are selling in a marketplace, then your ability to actually get seen by customers depends on how many designs there are. So it's no good being on the 10th page of a keyword, even if your niche is in demand, because customers won't even get there. They have way too many things to choose from before they actually even see your listing. This is especially important on marketplaces because a lot of them don't refresh the designs at the top of search, which means that products that get to the first page stay on the first page for a very long time. So by choosing niches and keywords with less competition, it will be a lot easier for you to get that traffic in the first place. And then there's the obvious, like if other people's designs are just better than yours, then you will not get sales and they will get sales. So how do you know if your design is quote good or bad? In the eyes of customers at least. So to convert decently, you don't need to be the best design in the entirety of Amazon. You just need a better design than most of the other sellers in your keyword. The easiest way to do this is by looking at the rest of the designs out there for your keyword, and you can just search it and literally see. So you get an idea of what is selling well in your niche, and then you will be able to tell how your products stack up against the competitions. And then you can think about why a customer would want to buy your design compared to someone else's. And if you can't think of a good reason, then either, try to improve your design or the actual idea behind the design, make it a bit cleverer, or just the design itself. And as I've talked about before, it's really not about artistic talent or graphic design quality. Yes, those things help, but the reason text-based designs sell is because it's about relatability and psychology. If you are not a professional designer or artist, then you can go at it from a different angle to still be able to make money. text-based designs, you put more thought behind the idea, but don't be copying other sellers' intellectual property. Just use research as an inspiration and then try and make better designs than them. So what's worse than getting no sales? Is there something worse than getting no sales? Well, the answer is getting suspended. And every platform has its own rules. It might be a good idea to have a read through them before selling. I get comments and messages from people all the time saying they've gotten suspended. I think my Etsy suspended video is like one of my most viewed videos. By the way, there are a lot of scammers on those videos, being like, contact Giga Hack or something on WhatsApp and you'll get your account back and stuff like that. Those are obviously scams. Even people sort of impersonating me, trying to get you to contact a certain number. I've sort of added filters and tried to delete them, but they just keep finding new ways to come back. So anyway, kind of got off track there, but I just have two general pointers about rules and suspensions. Firstly, uploading, and secondly, about intellectual property. So with uploading, some platforms have an upload limit. Like I know Redbubble has 60 a day limit, and I would not go too close to that, especially if you have multiple accounts. I personally avoid uploading from a lot of different IPs. Like I wouldn't use a uni computer to upload to a Redbubble or Etsy account. And sometimes it's just unavoidable. So for example, you get a new laptop, right? And for most people, there's no issue there. They can just do that fine. But there have been some reports of people getting auto suspended, which is why I stay on the safe side, especially if these people log in from a different country and or like using a VPN. And so a lot of these websites do use auto suspension algorithms. When these algorithms detect a big change in your activity, they can get triggered and then lead to suspensions and designs getting removed and stuff like that. So I know it's an absolute pain to hear this, but it's just the truth, and better knowing than not knowing, right? So it does turn a lot of people off from print on demand, but it is how it is, at least if you want free traffic. And the only way to really get around this is to just sell on your own website. But even then, like, you need to be advertising somewhere or promoting, and you still have to be careful about, if you're advertising on Facebook or TikTok, you have to be careful about your ad account status. Ad accounts get banned all the time, so following the rules and watching your activity is kind of just inevitable. Now, intellectual property is intangible property from creative things. This can get quite legal and complicated, and I'm not a lawyer, but essentially for print on demand, this just means don't be copying other people's designs, don't be designing things related to other brands or people, and don't use trademarked words in your designs, titles, or tags. And most of these websites have filters, as we mentioned, that detect trademarked words. So you might get a product removed for putting a certain word. That's why you need to trademark check them with sites like trademarkier.com. And some notorious examples are just anything to do with sports teams. So things like NBA, NFL, Yankees, WWE, institutions as well. So things like Harvard University, stuff like that. Anything to do with Disney, Marvel, Warner Bros. Just stay away from those things at all costs, and you will see a lot of stuff that is IP infringing that shouldn't really be on these marketplaces. Now, whether the companies themselves are doing enough to tackle this is debatable, but what we need to worry about is our accounts. So seeing all of this stuff might make it tempting for you to do the same, but what you don't see is the thousands of products being removed every day for infringing. And it's unclear how many times you can get products removed before you get banned, but if you're on the fence about whether something is IP or not, then I'd say just move on, because it's not worth risking all your hard work for one design, right? Now, AI art is something new that's come up recently, using artificial intelligence to generate artwork and images like DALL-E. The legal aspects of this are still a grey area. So on the one hand, DALL-E says that images generated should be good for commercial use, but on the other hand, there are some websites that have explicitly stated AI generated images are not allowed, like Envato, which is a digital products marketplace. And I'm currently not aware of any print-on-demand sites that have banned AI art. There are actually a lot of customers looking specifically for AI art, but if you're mostly selling things like text-based designs, you won't have to worry about this. It's just be aware that it exists, and it's really up to your discretion. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really say any more about this. But the way I think about it is like traffic is all about getting your numbers up, uploads, hard work and hard numbers, and then conversions is about thinking. So it's about psychology, trying to get customers to buy. And the great thing about POD is that you have the chance to test anything. Like the financial risk is literally so minimal. You cannot fail. You literally upload something and it doesn't sell. You just move on to the next thing, and then the thing you have just uploaded has the potential to sell in the future for the rest of your life, pretty much, or as long as it's on the platform. So one way I like to go about things is to collect a bunch of like low competition, high demand keywords, and then pick like 3 every day and make 5 designs for them, then move on to the next one, and over time the previous designs sell, and whenever something else sells that I previously upload, I would make 5 more of a similar type of design. That's how I sort of went about print on demand when I was still uploading. I've sort of moved on to digital products, but that's a different story. So yeah, that's just a suggestion of like a testing plan that you could do. If you're interested in how print on demand has changed over time, make sure you watch this video, which talks about my thoughts on whether new sellers still stand a chance. And I'll see you in the next video.